KindaCommunity Theatre presents Orion's Belt by Paul Walker, with Jonny Jones as Graham, Kirsty Franks as Karen, Eliah Bryant as Leo, Simon Everest as Steve, Juliette Bryant as Mrs. Jennings, Paul Walker as Sandy, and Jane Walker as Laura.
Ampere Way, Wadden Marsh, Wandle Park, Reeves Corner, West Croydon, Wellesley Road, East Croydon Station.
Hello, Steve.
Hello, mate. Where are you? Doesn't sound like you're in the office.
I'm not. I'm on the tram.
Sorry, the train?
No, the tram.
Ah, the tram. Why's that? Half day or something?
No, well, not that kind of half day anyway.
Don't tell me you're going to IKEA. You can't keep away from all those flat packs and meatballs.
No, nothing like that. The thing is, I've been furloughed.
Blimey, that was a bit sudden, wasn't it? Bit of a bolt from the blue, and a bit of a sensitive topic for a crowded tram, I'd have thought anyway. I should think your fellow passengers are all ears, aren't they?
There aren't any fellow passengers. Well, hardly any. And anyway, I saw it coming a mile off, if I'm honest.
Why is that? Something happened, or maybe failed to happen, perhaps. Some deal that didn't quite come off?
Well, I was supposed to be making the plans and arrangements for our big national conference in Harrogate. But that's been cancelled, obviously.
Obviously. Harrogate. Haven't they turned that convention centre into one of those nightingales?
Exactly. So no conference. Nothing much to keep me busy, keep me gainfully employed, but at least they haven't let me go.
Let you go? What a ridiculous phrase that is. Makes it sound like you're champing at the bit, just raring to be off to pastures new. Whereas what it really means is they haven't given you the old heave-ho, the order of the boot. That's typical of your HR buds, isn't it? Full of euphemisms. You know what you used to call our HR department?
No, but I have a funny feeling you're going to tell me.
Comp and bends. Pay and rations.
Well, that's certainly more direct.
But seriously, what about your situation? What's the deal like? Financially, I mean.
Not bad. It's something like 2/3 basic salary and Karen's still working. Flat out, actually. So we should be able to make ends meet, keep our heads above water.
Not like those poor sods you see queuing outside the banks every morning. So you're going to see a little bit more of the family, a bit more of the old hearth and home. But not much more of Karen, by the sounds of it.
No, but a lot more of Leo. St. Wilfrid's is closed, so he's going to be at home. Homeschooling. With me as his teacher.
Well, that sounds all right. A lot of blokes with their right arm to be in your shoes. Sorry, is that what they call a mixed metaphor?
Could be.
Anyway, how old is he now? I can never remember.
He's 9, just.
Well, you're pretty good mates, aren't you? There'll be a good opportunity for a spot of male bonding.
Yeah, but it's the schooling bit I'm worried about.
Why? Come on, it can't be that difficult. Not at that age, anyway. It's not as if he's in his teens and you were going to have to take him through, well, I don't know, differential equations.
The thing is, I just don't know if I'm going to be any good at it. In fact, I have this horrible feeling I'm not going to be good at it at all.
Oh, rubbish. It'll be a breeze. It'll be fun.
Well, I hope you're right.
The next stop will be East Croydon.
Look, it's my stop. Time to hop on the train, if there is one, head home and break the news to Karen. Anyway, love to Helen and Sophie.
And to Karen and to Leo from his favourite uncle. Good luck. And if I hear a loud explosion and I see a mushroom cloud, I'll know your news didn't go down so well. Anyway, mate, keep me posted. Whatever the reaction is. However you get on.
Hello?
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 Oh, right, how do I turn this camera
Are you
on?
there?
Hello? Oh,
I
can you hear me?
can't see you.
Is my volume working?
How about now?
Oh, I think my microphone's on now.
Right, are we all here? Apresh? Sandy? Where's Laura? She was a bit late joining last time, so we'll give her a few minutes. Look, what I want to talk about is the auditors are asking questions about the valuation of the Eastbourne site. They're not happy about the degree of retail.
I can see their point.
Hello everyone, sorry I'm late.
Ah, Laura, we're just talking about the Eastbourne situation and in particular about our valuation. I know it was our valuation, but can you remember who actually handled it?
We did those valuations at the end of last financial, but I read in the FT yesterday that one of the retailers is going for a CVA, so that's going to have some sort of impact, isn't it?
Oh, sorry guys, it's Leo's school. I'll have to take it. I'm going to have to mute myself for a few minutes. Hello?
Hello, is that Mrs. Austin?
It is. Is something wrong?
Hello, Mrs. Austin. No, not at all. Everything's fine. It's Pauline Jennings, Leo's form teacher. Have you got a minute?
Well, I have, but... Well, I'm a bit busy right now. I'm supposed to be in a meeting. In fact, I'm in a meeting.
I won't take a sec. I just wanted to have a word about homeschooling. You're all ready for it to start tomorrow, are you?
Well, as ready as any working parents can be. There'll be a lot of juggling, but I'm sure we'll manage somehow. And Leo's pretty bright, so I guess he'll be quick on the uptake, quick to adjust to the new normal, to use the current phrase.
You're absolutely right about Leo being pretty bright. Very bright from all the experience my colleagues and I have had teaching him. He's a very rewarding pupil to teach, but...
But what?
We feel that because of his intelligence, he's going to need, how shall I put it, a full engagement with his home lessons and with the material we're making available online. He gets bored very easily.
So, this call sounds like part endorsement of Leo and part a note of caution for us. Is that a fair assessment?
Well,
Look, Pauline, I do hear what you're saying and I do appreciate the call, but all I can say is we'll just do our level best. Under the present circumstances, I guess that's all any of us can ever say, isn't it?
Good morning, Radio 2 superstar listeners. Here we go. BBC Radio 2.
How do you spell furlough anyway?
Like enough.
Yes, but you don't pronounce it like that, do you? I mean, you can't say I'm being furloughed, can you?
All right, what about dough?
What's furlough?
It means, well, it means Dad can't go to work because, well, there's not much work for him to actually do at his office right now. So the government are going to pay him until there is work again, and then he can go back.
Hopefully.
So he's not going to be redundant like Uncle Keith?
No, definitely not like Uncle Keith.
But Mum, you aren't going to the office. Does that mean you've been furloughed too, like Dad?
No, sweetheart. And Leo, no more shreddies, okay? You've had a huge plateful and they're full of sugar. And it's nearly a week before we get the next Waitrose delivery.
No, Mum's going to be working from home for a bit. She can't get to the office because there aren't any trains, or not enough trains. And in any case, trains are all stuffy and unhealthy at the moment. The virus might be there.
But Mum, you could drive.
I know, but the thing is, it might not really be safe at the office either. The virus might be there too, and we just have to keep safe. All of us, everybody. So for the time being, my office is going to be in one of the spare bedrooms.
The one that Granny Jane stays in sometimes. The one that has a funny smell after she's been.
It's a nice smell. It's just the perfume she wears. And talking of the office, it's time I went to mine. Up the stairs.
What's Dad going to do? Is he on holiday?
No, he's got a new job to do while he's furloughed. He's going to be your teacher, and he's going to teach you all about, all about whatever St. Wilfrid says you should be learning in Key Stage 2 while you're at home.
Ancient Egyptians.
That should be interesting. Anyway, I must dash.
What are you playing?
Fortnite.
Just on your own?
No, I'm playing it with Noah.
Who's Noah?
Friend at my school. He sits at the next desk.
So if you're playing with someone else, does that mean you're playing the Save the World version? Leo? Is it?
Yes.
Leo, you know we really do have to do this work. Noah's going to be doing it too, so you'll both be in the same boat. Noah. boat. And you can carry on when we've done whatever it is St. Wilfrid says you should be learning about. What is it anyway? Mum said something about ancient Egyptians.
They're so boring.
Really? Well, why is that?
All the kings with long names and about the cats. Mum and you hate cats.
Okay, but what about the pyramids? They're pretty amazing. At school, did they tell you about the secret passage in one of the pyramids?
You mean the place where they buried all their kings?
No, this is a different passage. And it's pretty fair to say you could call it not just a secret passage, but a magic passage. No, I mean really, look. Let's get some images of the pyramids and I'll show you. We need to be able to look down on them, so let's get some aerial shots. Aha! There we are. Now, what do you notice?
Well, one's not quite in line with the other two.
That's right. Anything else?
One's smaller.
Spot on. Any idea why that might be? Perhaps they just ran out of bricks. Maybe the builders spent too long in the pub and they came back after lunch just a bit tiddly-widdly. No, seriously, there is a real reason why that one pyramid is a bit different. Do you have any clue, any tiny Scooby-Doo, what that reason is? Do you? No? Well, I'll tell you. And here's where the magic bit comes in. The reason's in the stars.
Really? Wow.
Look, I'll show you. We need to search for a group of stars called Orion. Can you find some images of Orion? O-R-I-O-N.
Orion, the mighty hunter. Why is he called the mighty hunter, Dad?
Because he's got a great big bow and arrow. Look at that huge big curve of stars. It's like a bow pulled right back to fire an arrow. Like yours with the suckers on the tips, remember?
And I fired it at the windscreen of Granny's car and she got really cross. But then I fired a few more and it looked like an alien with tentacles had been crawling all over the windscreen.
I do remember. A bit naughty, but a good shot. Now, look at the 3 stars of Orion's belt and tell me what you see.
There's one star, there's a second star, and there's a third star.
And?
And it's smaller than the others and a bit wonky, and it's not in the same straight line.
Like? Remind you of anything?
The pyramid is just the same.
Exactly the same.
Wow, that's amazing.
It certainly is. But the really seriously amazing bit is that it's not just a coincidence. No. Astronomers and scientists reckon that the ancient Egyptians built the pyramids like a copy of the stars in Orion's belt. And there's a good reason why they did that. Now, do you remember the name of the big, wide river that flows through Egypt?
The Nile.
Correct. The Nile is very important to the Egyptians, even today. And it was even more important to the ancient Egyptians, all those thousands of years ago.
Why is that?
Because they needed the Nile to water their fields to feed their crops so they could have enough to eat. And every spring the Nile did just that. And some of their wise men, the ancient Egyptians, were brilliant at maths, especially geometry. These wise men noticed that every spring when Orion appeared again over the horizon in the south, that was a sign that the Nile was about to flood and water all their fields. And in one of the pyramids, I'm not exactly sure which one, there's a kind of secret tunnel, almost like a kind of tube or even a bit like a telescope. Any ideas what the Egyptians could see through it?
Something to do with Orion, or even part of Orion.
You've got it! That tunnel or tube pointed straight at Orion's belt. So when the wise men looked through and spotted that line of stars for the first time since the previous year, they knew it was a signal for all the Egyptians to make sure their fields were ready for the Nile to flood and water them, just like we water our veg plot to make the courgettes and the strawberries.
And my carrots.
And your carrots, to make everything grow.
But after the wise men or whoever saw the stars and knew it was time for the farms to get ready, how did they tell them?
That's a very good question. Maybe they had messengers ready with boats to cross the Nile and then run into the fields to say, "Come on, guys, the Nile's about to flood. Time to get your act together."
Or maybe they climbed the pyramids and put huge flags, absolutely massive flags, so all the farmers could see them. But what if the farmers couldn't read? Mrs. Jennings was saying that people thousands of years ago were, what's the word, ill something?
Illiterate. Well, the Egyptians had a very clever way of writing, like symbols or little pictures rather than words, like what we read and write. Tell you what, when it gets dark, let's go out into the garden and see if we can actually see Orion. How does that sound?
Dad? Dad?
Sorry, mate, I was miles away. Right, why don't we make a model of all this? Some of the stuff we've been learning.
Wow, could we? How?
Okay, let's get some card and mark out some triangles. You do that, and I'll cut them out with my Stanley knife. And let's leave one side open so people can see inside.
Can we actually put something inside?
Good thinking. Any ideas?
What about a person?
Like who?
Well, what about one of the people, the Egyptians, the wise men looking at Orion?
Astronomers. Very clever people.
I know. We could use my Lego Professor Dumbledore figure, and maybe we could use a straw or some sort of tube so he could be looking through his telescope.
Brilliant! Come on, high five. Let's do it.
Well, how did you get on?
Mum, come and look at this.
It's a pyramid.
I know it is silly, but who's this looking through the tube then?
It looks like one of your Lego figures.
It was, but it's not now. It's an ancient Egyptian astronomer looking for Orion. Dad told me all about it. It was really cool.
Actually, Leo did most of the work. He found the images of Orion on the web, and casting Professor Dumbledore as an astronomer was entirely his idea. Anyway, we can tell you the whole story over lunch. I think he learned something, and that's the main thing. I know I did. What about a spot of lunch? Pasta? Spaghetti?
Can we, Dad? The proper stuff, the long spaghetti with lots of sauce.
Leo, if we have long spaghetti, you'll have to make sure you don't get any on your Spider-Man t-shirt. That was a Christmas present from Uncle Steve, remember? So no sucking.
But what are we all going to do after lunch?
Dad, have we finished school for today?
Well, I reckon we have, don't you? We've covered everything you were supposed to be doing, so school's out. School's out for summer. School's out forever.
Really, must we? Who was it who sang that?
Alice Cooper.
Who's she?
He, actually. A big hit in the 70s. So how about a walk?
Oh, Dad, can we? What about down the viaduct?
I don't see why not. It shouldn't be too muddy, and we'll get that lovely view all the way to the downs.
Mum, you're coming, aren't you?
Well...
Oh, come on, love. You need a break. You deserve a break, surely.
Well, all right then. And as you say, that lovely view. Haven't seen that in a while. Right, Leo, you fill a saucepan with water and I'll put the sauce in the microwave. God, look at it. Just look. I don't think I can ever get tired of this view, this landscape. And even the viaduct. I know it's a huge, great structure, but somehow it just seems to make it perfect. Perhaps it's just the contrast with the trees and the weald and then the downs beyond. Oh, what's that phrase? Something about blue remembered hills? All I can say is, thank God you persuaded me to leave my stuffy little improvised office.
Dad, what are those buildings in the distance? The two of them together.
Those? They're windmills. They've got names. They're called Jack and Jill. You can go over one of them. Jill, I think.
Wow, could we?
We will, darling, someday. Someday, all of us.
Look, there's a train on the viaducts. Look at all those trucks, masses of them.
I think it's a mineral train. Tell you what, you count them. Right. What did you make it?
I counted 17. 17!
Strange, but the sound of that train somehow made the landscape look even more beautiful. I'm sorry if that sounds a bit crazy. It probably is crazy. A crazy idea for crazy times.
It's not a bit crazy. It's just that the train made the silence, well, more silent, more perfect.
Can we play poo sticks from the little bridge?
Okay, you run ahead and find some sticks. Not too far, mind. You know, spotting Jack and Jill started me thinking, remembering. Oh, you know, Brighton, all those lovely little clothes shops in Trafalgar Street, and just shops generally, and people, crowds of people all down the lanes, queuing to get on the I-360. Oh, I used to hate them, but now I feel I just want to go up and hug them.
And what about that little Italian eatery just near the dome? Some fettuccine with a spicy arrabbiata sauce and half a bottle of Pinot Grigio.
Oh, make it a bottle. And what about turning it into a weekend? A nice little boutique hotel, Mum looking after Leo at home, so we could make love as noisily as we wanted, not having to worry about waking him.
Why stop at Brighton? What about London?
Oh, Sloane Square, Peter Jones.
And something really good on at the Royal Court. Or what about the three of us, taking Leo to the Science Museum and the Hard Rock Cafe afterwards? Or what about just hopping on a Eurostar and heading for Paris or Amsterdam? Or what about the three of us hopping on a ferry from Portsmouth and heading for Brittany to a cosy little gîte with a view over one of those vast sandy beaches, and Leo and me walking into the village to get the morning croissants and leaving you to have a nice lie.
Oh, no, stop it, please. Just enough, okay? Once you start delving into your bucket list, it's like starting a flood. It's just too sad, too painful. When there's not much to look forward to, nothing certain, it hurts more than ever to look back. But nostalgia's so tempting, just to wallow in it.
You know what nostalgia really means, don't you? Literally, it's the pain of an old wound.
God, how fitting, how appropriate.
And as for bucket lists, I reckon I'd need a 10-gallon oil drum list for all the things I want us to do, once things get back to normal.
But is that what people actually want? Is that what we want? The same old work, the same old routine, the same old?
Well, look, talking of work, I didn't ask you how you got on this morning, did I? I'm sorry, we got so totally wrapped up in, well, our first home lesson. So how was it?
All I can say is you seem to have been having a hell of a sight more fun than I was. I'd have loved to have spent the morning playing with card and scissors and Lego figures instead of being hunched over my laptop. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said playing. But what were you on, the pair of you? I've never seen Leo so energized, so focused. God, if only he came back from school like that. Seriously, how do you think he's going to cope?
With what?
Homeschooling. I mean, he's not going to be going back for some time, is he? Could be months.
But I thought you just said...
No, sorry, I didn't mean with homeschooling. If this morning's anything to go by, that'll be the least of our worries, or his. No, I meant with being away from actual school, the real physical place. You know, from his mates, from having fun in the playground or swapping silly small boy jokes, or just all sitting down together and having school lunch, just being there, being part of it all.
Well, I suppose the only consolation is he's not the only one. Everyone's in the same boat. It's not as if he was off to boarding school, the odd one out, lonely during the holidays. We're all in this together, as the politicians keep reminding us. He'll manage, he'll adapt. We'll make sure he does. That's what we do, isn't it?
What is? And who's we?
Adapting. It's us. I mean, everybody. It's Darwin. The creatures who survive, who thrive, aren't the strongest. They're just the best adapted. And God, there's plenty of adaptation going on right now, isn't there? Which reminds me, you know when you came downstairs just before lunch from your improvised office?
Yes.
Well, You know when I said something about I'd learned a lot too?
I do. I remember thinking this doesn't sound like just a random afterthought. It was the timing. I was wondering what might be coming next, but then Leo launched into his tutorial about the ancient Egyptians and Orion and the Nile and all that amazing stuff. I must admit it was all completely new to me.
The point is, it certainly wasn't just a random afterthought. This morning I learned a lot of things about myself, about my future, about our future. And I reached a decision. I want to jack in my god-awful job before it jacks me in. But that's not the reason for my decision, by the way. No, it's because I want to teach. I want to train as a teacher. There must be all sorts of definitions about what teaching is, what it's all about. But I've got mine. The sharing and stimulation of imagination, if that doesn't sound too pompous. And that's what I felt like I was doing this morning, or trying to do. It's what I want to go on doing. It's as simple as that.
So it sounds as if you've had some sort of Damascene conversion. There's a lot of it about, apparently.
No, it wasn't like that at all. No blinding light, no choirs of angels. I just realised, quite calmly and objectively, that it's what I really, really want to do. There was as much logic in it as emotion. And in any case, don't you have to be actually travelling somewhere to go through that kind of experience? And I wasn't even on the train. Not the 4:37 to Damascus, and certainly not the 7:53 to East Croydon. I don't imagine you get many sudden, blinding conversions on that.
You might be surprised if it was still running. Oh, I'm sorry, but it's just that, well, I'm a bit taken aback. It's a bit sudden. It's a lot to take in.
Well, I'm sorry too. I'm sorry I've just sort of dumped it all on you without warning. Presented you with what I realise now must look like a fait accompli, which it isn't. I should have asked how you felt, how it affects you, your work, your own career.
Go for it.
What?
Just go for it. It's blindingly obvious you're a natural. And for God's sake, how many people have the balls to go for something they really want to do? And if you don't go for it, you'll regret it for the rest of your life. And that will be bad for you. And if it's bad for you, it'll be bad for me and bad for us, all of us. Tell you what, it's got me wondering what I'm doing, slaving away over yet another IPO and all that due diligence stuff that's going to help some sod who's probably loaded already make a few more millions. I think it's a brilliant idea. I really do. But hang on a sec. Don't let's get carried away. Homeschooling's one thing, but what about teaching in an actual school?
Well, teaching's teaching, isn't it? It must be pretty much the same anywhere.
Yes, but surely one morning at home teaching your own son wasn't like standing in front of a whole class of 9-year-olds. And what about all the other parts of being a teacher that teachers themselves moan about? The discipline, the paperwork, the fixation with league tables and Ofsted reports, the staff room politics?
Okay, I hear what you say, but look at it this way. When it comes to those sorts of challenges, I reckon my age and my background could give me a bit of an advantage. An edge, if you like.
How come?
Because I've worked in HR, remember? So I, of all people, can handle admin, organisational metrics, hierarchies, all that sort of stuff. And when it comes to politics and the dynamics of groups and teams, well, I wrote the book. And in any case, think of all those lovely long holidays.
So we could squeeze 3 weeks in Brittany instead of the bog standard fortnight. I'm persuaded. As I said, go for it.
I can't find any sticks. Not good ones, at least. They're all small and sort of soggy.
Don't worry. Time's getting on anyway. And Leo, remember we've got a date this evening once it gets dark, in the garden.
A date? Oh, boys, can I come?
You certainly can. Have to wrap up warm, though. We'll be out in the garden looking for the mighty hunter.
You've been listening to Orion's Belt by Paul Walker, with Jonny Jones as Graham, Kirsty Franks as Karen, Eliah Bryant as Leo, Simon Everest as Steve, Juliette Bryant as Mrs. Jennings, Paul Walker as Sandy, and Jane Walker as Laura. This Sofa Players production was produced for KindaCommunity Theatre by David Foster.